doubtful Lamar Jackson, so Jalen is seeking help via Instagram, posting, so, Mike Vick, how would you stop someone like, well, kind of like yourself, but the 2019 version? I need tips for the game.
I mean, by the way, that is I didn't believe in the Mike Vick Lamar comp coming out of school, but that's exactly right, except Lamar's already a more polished passer.
Well, I think Mike turned into a better passer
by
over
Philly,
time.
certainly.
Right, but you know, when Mike it was the Michael Vick experience. You understand what he was doing? He was the reason why guys like Lamar wanted to play the position because of what Mike Vick did. But Lamar's doing it in a different way. I love what he's doing.
And Mike, he never had like receivers really. Roddy White kind of came on later. Algie Crumpler was his guy. Like, if he had receivers, I think he would have developed a little.
I think Lamar's a better runner than Mike Vick, though. I mean, with the ball, I think that he makes people miss more like a running back. Mike was straight speed, but Lamar makes people miss like a running back.
What do you think Mike would say? Give me one.
Mike is going to definitely say, he's already said Lamar's better.
No, he's saying
what kind of advice do you think he would give on how to stop himself?
Hey, look,
close your eyes.
Close your eyes and hope for the best.
You can't stop that.
Okay.
By the way, is there something about Jalen Ramsey? When he goes to teams, does he like put something in his own quarterback's food? Like he had Blake Bortles, and then all of a sudden falls apart. Not that Blake was ever great. Jared Goff looked great last year. Trade for him this year. He falls apart. Maybe Jalen might just be destined to play on teams with bad quarterbacks. It might be
bad
his football destiny.
Time now for Where Would You Like to Be, sponsored by Visa. Everywhere you want to be. We'd like to be at Foxborough on Sunday for America's Game of the Week on Fox. Dak and the boys versus Tom and the Pats. And while the two quarterbacks are trending in opposite directions, Jason Garrett knows Brady's still the GOAT.
He's arguably the greatest player that ever walked. You think about his level of excellence over the last 20 years. I don't think it's comparable to anybody. The impact he's had on teams, obviously how they've won different ways, how they've won with different people. You know, I think his greatest trait is his mental toughness. It seems regardless of what circumstance he's in, he always finds a way to be his best and get the job done and help the guys around him to get their job done. And he and Coach Belichick are an unbelievable combination, the best that ever walked in this league.
All right, Brian Westbrook, should Tom Brady still instill fear into the eyes of opponents the way he's been playing this year?
First of all, that's classic coach speak. We're going to pump this guy up, make sure he did everything good. But if you watch the tape, Tom Brady hasn't been that guy this year. And there's a lot of different reasons. Obviously, the age is one thing. I was watching a pass last week, 6-7-yard pass. Tom couldn't get it there. He had to move around a little bit. He couldn't get it there. It seemed like his arm is not as lively as it was in the past. But you also got to look at his weapons. James White, who was a big part of their offense last year, 12 touchdowns in their offense, only 2 touchdowns this year. He's not catching the ball out of the backfield very much anymore. Their offense was so bad this year, and we're talking about the fear, is that they had to go out and get 38-year-old Ben Watson to come in to try to help them out and win some football games. And so, of course, anytime you walk into Foxborough, you have Bill Belichick there, you have Tom Brady there. There certainly is a lure. There certainly is a little bit of fear. But if you watch the tape, he's just not the same guy that he was in the past.
Yeah, no, he doesn't put the fear in opponents. And when you go, the fact that they're playing in Foxborough, yeah, that might be a little mystical and put some fear into guys. But when you're playing games, and you know this, like, I don't care what you did. I don't care what you're going to do. Especially when I see the roster and the personnel that you have around you, like that's the player's mentality. Like, we all understand what he's done in the past, but right now, today, Tom Brady is not the same player. Like, mentally, yes. Can he still beat you? 100%. But when you look at the personnel that's around him, he lacks it, and so naturally, his play is not going to be the same. I don't think we give enough credit to what Gronkowski, I'm not even talking about the numbers he put up, but just his presence being on the football field, what that did to opposing defenses and what it allowed for guys like James White coming out of the backfield, Julian Edelman, and others to be open and to have impacts the way that they did.
Allow me to do something I rarely do. Let me defend Tom Brady for a moment here, because I've been the resident Tom Brady skeptic, and I think the numbers are undeniable that Tom Brady is at a different phase of his career. Won league MVP 2 years ago. Last year he slipped to right inside barely top 10 quarterbacks in football. This year he hasn't been an above average quarterback by any metric. He's been probably 17th, 18th, somewhere in that range. With that said, I don't know what it's like to play against these guys, obviously. I know what it's like to root against them, and I know what it's like to bet against them. And Tom Brady is terrifying still. And maybe it's just ghosts of Christmas past, but it is up as recently as the last game that the Patriots, aside from the Baltimore game, I suppose, had to go match points with somebody. AFC Championship game against my hometown team, Kansas City Chiefs. There's Tom Brady in the fourth quarter leading a comeback. Then after Patrick Mahomes ties the game, there's Tom Brady in overtime, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 10, and then game over. And so even when it looked like, and even in that game, he threw the pick that should have ended the whole thing, trying to throw the ball to Gronk, and then D Ford's offsides. He gathers himself after that. I got a second life. Let me take advantage of it. That's where the fear comes from, is that he is not the, and this is obvious, I guess, but there are some quarterbacks that if they're having a terrible game, they cannot rally. Tom Brady absolutely still can, because he doesn't get rattled. He's not going to let the previous possession or the previous month affect his confidence in his ability to get things done. So to me, if it is a one-score game late and the Patriots have the ball, no matter how poorly their offense has been, I'm still waiting for that other shoe to drop, because for 20 years it has. And it's more about history than it is about what we've seen this year, because everything you guys are saying about this year is spot on accurate. They don't have dynamic weapons. They don't have a great offensive line. And we're yet to see the game this year, like the AFC Championship game last year, where the defense doesn't show up and the offense says, we got you covered. But I still, even though I think Brady in the playoffs is going to be the worst quarterback on the field, almost no matter the Patriots matchup, unless they get Buffalo, I still am afraid of him if it's a close game late, because of what he's done his entire career.
This is what has saved Tom Brady. And I certainly respect the greatest of all time, because he's been able to do it for a long time. He doesn't have Gronk, which is a big mismatch no matter what it is. The best thing for Tom Brady this season has been that their defense has been #1 in takeaways. Because they're dealing with short field, they're not having to drive the ball 80, 90 yards down the field. Now they have to drive the ball 50, 60 yards down the field. That makes a huge difference for this offense that struggles to move the ball in the run as well as the pass. They haven't been able to run the ball. This was a time last year, November, December, where they started handing the ball off to Sony Michel. They got Burkhead involved. They haven't been able to do that because their offensive line has not done well. That's going to hurt Tom Brady just a bit.
Who's going to be the best quarterback on the field Sunday in Foxborough?
I mean, I would have to go with Dak Prescott, because of what you're asking him to do. Like, Dak Prescott is being asked to win games for the Dallas Cowboys. It has really nothing to do with, like, GOAT status in history. It's right here, right now. Dak Prescott is being asked to do more than what New England is asking Tom Brady to do, and he's producing.
Dak's been far and away the better quarterback all year. On Sunday, I would have more belief in Brady, because Brady doesn't have to go against that Patriots secondary. Like, if the Cowboys are going to pull off the upset, I don't think it's going to be because Dak has a great game. No one, aside from Lamar, and a lot of that was running, has had a great game against this Patriots pass defense. It's going to be because the Cowboys front seven gets to Brady, and Zeke has a game like he was having a few weeks ago, not the last couple of weeks.
Dak has been special all season long. I don't know that that changes. It may not be to the extent he's going to get 444 yards, but if he can get 250, they can get the run game going. I believe in that Dallas Cowboys offense and Dak.
Brian, thanks so much for hanging out today.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Take a break. Coming up, are Paul George and Kawhi the best duo in the NBA? Next
duo
on
in it.
First.
They ain't the best duo in Southern California.
And all your Philly people.